Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. We
remaining awake
overcome.
through a great revolution.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe, yes, we shall overcome someday. And we shall all be free. Yes, we shall all be free. We shall all be free someday. Oh, dear.
He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
And we'll walk hand in hand. Yes, we'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we'll walk hand in hand someday. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All in my home, I'm gonna let it shine. All in my home, I'm gonna let it shine. All in my home, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yes, this little light.
I want you to be first.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Love.
This little light of mine.
I want you to be first in moral excellence. I want you to be first in generosity. That is what I want you to do.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Please welcome Dr. Cynthia James.
Hello, I'm Dr. Cynthia James, and welcome to the Lead Like King Virtual Award and Scholarship Drive. A name is a good place to start. Michael King Jr. was born January 15, 1929, but his father decided to change his own name and that of his son to Martin Luther. That was after an inspiring trip to Germany, and in honor of Martin Luther, who incited the Protestant Reformation in the 1500s, they had that name change when Martin was 5. At the age of 6, Martin recalled his first encounter with racial discrimination, when a schoolmate was not permitted to have anything to do with him because of the color of his skin. His parents espoused to him at that young age the importance of not fighting, but being peaceful. Martin continued to display that kind of peaceful demeanor as he matriculated through the Atlanta public schools, skipping 9th and 12th grade. And at the age of 15, he entered Morehouse College as a sociology major. He was determined to become a doctor or lawyer, despite being the son and grandson of Baptist ministers. But the president of Morehouse persuaded him that Christianity could be a vital agent for social change. So Martin altered his plans and went to Boston University and received a PhD in theology. It was there that Dr. King met Coretta Scott. They later married and parented 4 children. By the age of 26, Dr. King had cemented his image and his legacy as a civil rights leader. Rosa Parks had refused to relinquish her seat to another white passenger on the Montgomery, Alabama buses. And working with the NAACP, Martin led a peaceful boycott against the public buses in Montgomery. That protest was nonviolent, and it worked for racial equality. It was so momentous until Martin became a public figure, and Dr. King later established and co-founded the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He codified the principles that he had learned from Mahatma Gandhi, those of nonviolent protests and racial equality for all oppressed. He codified those in a book that we all know, Letters from a Birmingham Jail. He was jailed at least 29 times. But his famous words did not all emanate from a jail. We remember most vividly his iconic speech in 1963. The speech that was given to an audience of over 200,000 persons from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, the I Have a Dream speech. That dream led to the most significant piece of legislation, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Not only that, but Martin received a Nobel Peace Prize from his work on racial equality, his work on resisting voter suppression, his work on equal access to public facilities. And he continued from that time to meet with other groups who needed someone to come alongside, to show up, and to fight with them in nonviolent ways for equal access. He was doing just that in 1968 when he went to Memphis, Tennessee to stand alongside sanitation workers who wanted better working conditions, workers who were protesting for higher wages. And on a fateful day, standing on the balcony of the Memphis, Tennessee Lorraine Motel, the assassin's bullet ended his life. Yes, Dr. King died, but his dream did not. It had gone too far, it had spread too wide, it had been embedded in too many lives and too many hearts, and too many of us we are emboldened and encouraged to choose community over chaos. The challenge is for you, and the challenge is for me, that together we might determine to embody that same spirit of justice.
Please welcome Dr. Felicia Ford.
Father God, we thank you for this opportunity that we have been given today at the Lead Like King Virtual Awards and Scholarship Drive event to celebrate the life and accomplishments of the iconic Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose life symbolized nonviolent activism and justice, and to honor the passionate community leaders who are still making a notable impact in the lives of others today. We recognize that the leaders who have the qualities that promote unity and justice at their highest levels are those that demonstrate the fruit of your spirit, including love, kindness, gentleness, self-control, and peace, which the leaders we are celebrating and honoring today possess so gracefully and with great measures of success in the efforts they are leading. Additionally, we thank you for the visions of Jakes Divinity School and the Urban Renewal Center coming together to produce such an auspicious occasion. We pray that the awards given during this time and the scholarship donations received will ultimately bring your name great glory, as we encourage the continual formation of leaders who will honor you and your ways as they lead. As we reflect on the strides we have made as a people and the arduous journey that is yet ahead for greater justice, may we continue to move onward and upward in the plight for peace and equality among all humankind. And may our hope for a better tomorrow never wane. Help each of us to find our voice and to find our place in the movement toward making our world a better place for all people. Keep us, O Lord, forever in the path, we pray. Amen.
Please welcome your hosts, April Nevels and Thad Tribbett.
Welcome, everybody, to Lead Like King. I'm your host, April Nevels.
It's not just her, it's me too. Don't forget about me. I'm Thaddeus Tribbett, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. Welcome.
The camera was slowly gonna pan over
Sometimes you gotta watch Miss April.
Listen, I'm so excited to have Thaddeus Tribbett with me this evening, and I'm excited to have you all here with me as well. Listen, as you know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he left a lasting impact on the fight for social justice and equal rights that we're still fighting for today, almost 53 years after his untimely death.
That's right, April. Dr. King was many things: a civil rights leader, a scholar. We all know him as a minister, but he was also a trained theologian. And his public theology captures the vision of Jakes Divinity School to form leaders for innovative ministry in the church and society.
Yes, so tonight we celebrate those who embody the principles of Dr. King's vision.
This evening is also dedicated to raising money for our scholarship drive. We can't forget about that, the scholarship drive.
That's right. So listen, if you're interested in contributing to the success and progression of scholars and theologians of the future, we want you to please text JDS-LLK to 28950. If I spoke too fast, it is right at the bottom of the screen. So we want you all to contribute and help us to progress these scholars and theologians to the next part of their lives. All proceeds will go towards Jakes Divinity School, as well as several outreach opportunities at the Urban Renewal Center based right in Norfolk, Virginia.
Listen, we hope you guys really enjoy yourself with us tonight, because we're gonna have a good time.
Listen.
We want you to have a good time.
I'm so excited about tonight. We are kicking it off strong with the Queen of Gospel herself. Now listen, she's got a lot.
You didn't tell me she was gonna be here?
Listen, you knew she was
the Queen of Gospel?
The Queen.
The Queen.
The Queen. The Queen. So listen, she has so many songs that we know her for, but tonight, she is hitting us with one of the most relevant messages that we need right now because of what we faced in the last year. I know you were at home on your couch. I was at home on my couch when we watched the untimely death of George Floyd. So I want you to take a listen to this song from our own pastor, Shirley Caesar, singing "Take Your Knee Off My Neck." Check this out.
Take your knee off my neck, because I can't breathe. How would you like it if it was done to you? God created us too, yes He did. Enough is enough of all of this police brutality, yes. So stop hurting our sons and daughters You've treated us so wrong. You know you have. Black beautiful people. Oh, your head up high. Yes. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of who you are.
Never be ashamed of who you are. Never be ashamed.
Oh, black lives matter. Yes, it does. Oh, black lives matter. Now listen. When I think about all of the trouble that we're going through now, we've got COVID-19. We had a lynching in broad daylight with George Floyd. Why would you do us like that? Listen, we got Trayvon Martin. We got Oscar Grant. Policeman, why would you do us like that? We got Michael Brown. And we got Breonna Taylor. That's a girl, y'all. We've got Sandra Bland, another girl. Why would you do us like that? We've got Jordan Davis, got Freddie Gray, we got Philando Castile. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Why would you do us like that? We matter, you matter, they matter, everybody matters. Hallelujah. I know we matter. Yes, we do. Black lives matter. Hallelujah. Yes, we do.
Black Lives Matter. That was an amazing song. Yeah. Listen, it was a powerful song. Now, listen,
powerful.
we know
She's the queen.
she is the queen.
They call her the queen.
She's been the queen. She will remain the queen.
And I love it. That's a tough subject.
It is a very
It's a
tough
tough
subject because
you know.
people think when we say Black Lives Matter, we do not acknowledge that all lives matter.
Right.
But we do. We understand that all lives matter. It's just a moment for us to highlight that seemingly the ones that seems like they do not matter, they do.
Exactly.
Black
We're
lives
overlooked.
matter.
We're overlooked. But thank you, Pastor Shirley Caesar,
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
brilliantness and that beautiful song.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to move forward.
Come on.
We're going to get into the awards.
Yes.
Our very first award is called the Coalition Building Award, and it's going to be presented by Joel Phillips.
Pastor Michael Mcbride, known as Pastor Mike, is a native of San Francisco and has served in ministry for more than 20 years. Pastor Mcbride is committed to holistic ministry in the church and society. He holds a Master of Divinity with an emphasis in ethics and public policy from Duke University's Divinity School. Pastor Mcbride is the founder and lead pastor of the Way Christian Center in West Berkeley. Pastor Mike serves as director for the Live Free campaign with Faith in Action. This organization is a concerted campaign with hundreds of faith leaders throughout the country who are committed to ending gun violence and mass incarceration among young people of color. Pastor Mike is one of the national leaders who is working to implement public health and community-centered gun violence prevention programs. Their efforts have impacted the 50% reductions of gun-related homicides in Oakland and many other cities across the country. Pastor Mike is also the co-founder of Black Church PAC and the National Black-Brown Gun Violence Prevention Consortium. These organizations work to center Black and Brown gun violence prevention practitioners and scale up life-saving interventions related to urban and communal violence. Regarded as a national faith leader, Pastor Mike is a Christian leader in the Black Lives Matter movement. He was active in the Ferguson uprisings, the recent social unrest related to George Floyd's and Breonna Taylor's murders, as well as several other social protests. Pastor Mike is a man of faith and conviction. He is not deterred in the face of death threats or adversity. He is currently leading his congregation in recovery after the recent bombing of his church. Pastor Michael Mcbride is known for helping bridge, train, and support millennials and religious institutions that are working on racial justice and Black liberation. Pastor Mcbride has served on a number of local and national task force with the White House and Department of Justice regarding gun violence prevention and boys and men of color and police community relationships. In 2016, he was appointed as an advisor on President Obama's Faith-Based Advisory Council for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. He has been a frequent contributor to the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, the Huffington Post, and many other media outlets, providing commentary on issues related to faith and racial justice. Today, we honor Pastor Mike Mcbride with the Lead Like King Award for leading in building coalitions for national impact. We appreciate his commitment to faith in the Lord Jesus Christ and willingness to bear witness in the public square. He is a leader of leaders who is seeking to build necessary coalitions for great public engagement.
Wow, what a blessing. What a great blessing to be able to receive this award being presented to me and our work. On behalf of the Live Free campaign and the Black Church PAC and the host of organizers, pastors, faith leaders, revolutionaries, all of us who love peace and justice, thank you. To the Urban Renewal Center of Norfolk and to Jakes Divinity School, to icon in our ministry and work, someone we all look up to, Bishop T.D. Jakes, and to my good friend, Dr. Antipas Harris, the president and dean of Jakes Divinity School. We just want to say thank you. One of my favorite quotes that Dr. King says is, "We must see ourselves as ambulance drivers who are driving through red lights to signal the impending crisis we are facing." And it is indeed a crisis we are facing in this moment, unprecedented crisis where we are seeing the wickedness of white supremacy, racial hierarchy, economic exploitation, the triplets of evil that Dr. King talks about. And we are being called to be folks who are so committed to freedom, peace, and justice that we will interrupt these systems that grind away at the soul of all God's people. And so on behalf of all of us who work to end gun violence in our communities, the interpersonal conflicts that too often lead to the taking of lives, to end police violence, the unjust killings by law enforcement of too many of our community members, to end mass incarceration, the over-incarceration of our community members, to scale up economic opportunities for those caught in these violent cycles. All of us, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for honoring our work. May we be people who believe that our most important task is to love God, love people, and do the work that our soul requires. I leave you with the words of one of our most important voices. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and respect one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. And whom the Son sets free is free indeed. May the blessings of the Lord be with you. God bless you. Thank you.
Wow. Congratulations, Pastor Mike Mcbride.
Congratulations, sir.
On the Coalition Building Award.
Yeah.
That means he must be doing great work right where you are. So continue in like manner. We appreciate you.
Listen, April, at a time where there is so much division in our world, a strong call for unity is necessary. Martin Luther King Jr. was from Georgia, as you know.
Yeah.
And this special guest, the next person that we have coming up, is also from Georgia. Look at that.
Yes.
He's a recording artist from Georgia. He captures King's national call to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of sister and brotherhood. Alex Harris invites us to a backyard party together. It's a backyard party. I love backyard parties.
Listen.
It's like a family reunion. He's gonna sing this new single. It's the new single, right?
Yes, it's his new single.
We want you to sit back, relax, but get ready to move a little bit because it's got a little hump to it.
Yeah, it's a groove.
Yeah.
It's a groove.
Check this out.
1, 2, 3, yeah. This song is called Entangled. It's on my new EP, Frequency. Wherever you are, come on, just clap your hand. Yeah. Sun is coming through the window pane. Ain't up for the same old thing. No, it ain't that kind of day. So let's make a song the birds gon' sing. All we got is one day. Make it feel like Sunday. All we got is one day. Make it feel like Sunday. I love it when the family gets together. It's like sun breaking through rain and weather. No matter what we do, feels better when I'm close to you. Love it when the family gets together. It's like warm and comfort like a sweater. The bond we can't undo. I'm entangled when I'm with you. I'm entangled when I'm with you, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Again. Calling everybody in my phone because my backyard got it going on. Hit my uncles, aunties, and cousins too for a hot plate and all we got is one day. Make it feel like Sunday. All we got is one day. Make it feel like Sunday, yeah. Said I love it when the family gets together. It's like sun breaking through rain or weather. No matter what we do, I'm entangled when I'm with you. Said I love it when the family gets together. It's warm and comfort like a sweater. The bond we cannot do. I'm entangled when I'm with you. Said I'm entangled when I'm with you. I'm entangled when I'm with you. I'm entangled when I'm with you. Oh, we're family, yeah. I'm so in love with you. I'm so in love with you. I won't let nothing tear us apart, yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, you felt that?
Entangled.
I felt that. That was dope.
Yes.
Okay, Alex. Ooh.
That was a nice groove.
He flipped it. You know, the name of the song scared me, but he flipped it. The message is really dope.
It was real feel good. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna download that single. You ought to too. Well, listen, we're gonna move on to the next part of the program. This is our second award for the evening.
Nice.
This award is entitled the Community Empowerment Award.
Yes.
And it will be presented by Dr. Nicole King.
Chris Hall, whose stage name is Chris Keys, is a native of Norfolk, Virginia. Chris is the grandson of a pastor and grew up a church musician. Chris Keys has become a regional musical force. He spends all of his time inspiring others through his music in a variety of settings. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, like most musicians, Chris made most of his money booking concerts at local bars, churches, and venues. The shutdown put a pause on Keys' music and his income. Chris says to have that taken away from me has been a huge blow because I am now like, what do I do? The Virginia Pilot reported that the full-time singer-songwriter began using his skills to pay the bills. Chris created a live stream to play his music for his followers and some newcomers. Many of his fans left him money in a virtual tip jar. Chris says people have been so generous. This generosity from fans and strangers sparked an idea. Chris Keys and his group Lit Keys streamed live from their living room to raise thousands of dollars for community charities and outreach causes. Today, we honor Chris Keys with the Lead Like King Award for Community Empowerment. Thank you for leading in an innovative way by using your gift to pull the community together virtually to support nonprofits and other worthy causes during our global pandemic and social unrest.
Thank you so much for this prestigious award that you guys have given me. I just want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for the gift of music. He's blessed me so much, and I can't thank him enough. I want to say thank you to Dr. Nicole King for all the nice words you just said about me. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Antipas, for nominating me to Lead Like King. When I first got the email, it really took me back to when the pandemic first started, and all of my shows have been stripped away, and I really didn't know where my income was going to come from. But like he does time and time again, God made a way for me. And in turn, I was able to take my gift and use it to help other people, to bless other people in a time of need, and which was so rewarding for me. So I just thank God for all the gifts that he's given me and being able to turn around and bless somebody else. So I just want to just say, thank you, Lord. Oh, thank you, Lord. Oh, thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord. Thank you so much.
And now a special remark from Dr. Tanisha House.
In April of 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested because he and others were protesting the treatment of Black people in Birmingham, Alabama. While in jail, King wrote an open letter to pastors. The letter is known as the April 16, 1963 letter from the Birmingham jail. In the letter, King explained in part why he had broken the law. I am here because injustice is here, he wrote. King went on to ground his radical pastoral stance against injustice in his understanding of the narrative of Christ. He explains the following. In that dramatic scene on Calvary's Hill, 3 men were crucified. We must never forget that all 3 were crucified for the same crime, the crime of extremism. 2 were extremists for immorality and thus fell below their environment. The other, Jesus Christ, was an extremist for love, truth, and goodness, and thereby rose above his environment. I must honestly reiterate that I have been disappointed with the church. I do not say this as one of those negative critics who can always find something wrong with the church. I say this as a minister of the gospel who loves the church, who was nurtured in its bosom, who has been sustained by its spiritual blessings, and who will remain true to it as long as the cord of life shall lengthen. King explained there was a time when the church was very powerful, in the time when the early Christians rejoiced at being deemed worthy to suffer for what they believed. In those days, the church was not merely a thermometer that recorded the ideas and principles of popular opinion. It was a thermostat that transformed the mores of society. Whenever the early Christians entered a town, the people in power became disturbed and immediately sought to convict the Christians for being disturbers of the peace and outside agitators. But the Christians pressed on in the conviction that they were a colony of heaven, called to obey God rather than man. Small in number, they were big in commitment. They were too God intoxicated to be astronomically intimidated. By their effort and example, they brought an end to such ancient evils as infanticide and gladiatorial contests. Things are different now. So often the contemporary church is weak, ineffectual voice with an uncertain sound. So often it is an arch defender of the status quo. Far from being disturbed by the presence of the church, the power structure of the average community is consoled by the church's silence. But the judgment of God is upon the church as never before. If today's church does not recapture the sacrificial spirit of the early church, it will lose its authenticity, forfeit the loyalty of millions, and be dismissed as an irrelevant social club with no meaning for the 20th century. Every day, I meet young people whose disappointment with the church has turned into outright disgust. Where do we go from here? In the wake of the murders of Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, Tatiana Jefferson, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Rayshard Brooks, and so many others, this generation has awakened to blatant reality that in the 21st century, there are lingering structures and systems that undermine Black life and success. Lest we forget, the original documents that framed the nation included structures that evade equal value of Black life. The economic, education, justice, healthcare, and other systems that support the intended structures of the nation continue to evade full support of Black life. Not to mention the disregard for people's pain and suffering is part of this nation's identity. As a result, the Black fight for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness remains. The church must relentlessly address the problem of race in America. Lives are at stake. The future of the Republic depends upon it. And the future of Christian witness is in the balance. The vision at Jakes Divinity School is to form leaders for innovative ministry in church and society. We are challenged by King's dream and public witness. With a deep sense of vocational call and quality education, students will graduate from Jakes Divinity School with a keen focus and spiritual formation for innovative service in promoting a Bible-based, spirit-filled Christian witness in the church and society.
And now join us for a special presentation.
Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And what I found is that everything we've done turned out to be easy. You make a way out of no way.
Our United States Ambassador to the United Nations, a great friend, Andrew Young.
Couldn't blame people for feeling the way they did. They had been taught that way. One of the things that it was my job to do was to help them understand that all people were children of God.
Nobody told us that the way would be easy, but I don't believe he brought us this far to leave us. I think the turning point in my life came after I graduated from Howard University. I was just 19 and I had a college degree and I knew I didn't know anything about life. And I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I didn't want to be a dentist. And coming back from college, we stopped at the only place we could stop, Kings Mountain, North Carolina. My church had a school there, and there was a Bible conference going on, and my parents stopped there. I wasn't interested in that, so I went out for a run. And I'd been on the track team at Howard University, and even thinking about the Olympics. And I ran a couple of miles to the foot of Crowder Mountain. And I was running downhill and running too fast. And then I decided to run up the mountain. I made it up the mountain, but I could hardly breathe. And I almost collapsed. But when I opened my eyes, I saw the world different. And I didn't hear anything, nobody, but it was a spiritual awakening that all of a sudden, everything around me seemed important. The trees had purpose. The cornfields had purpose. The flowers had purpose. Birds and the clouds and the whole universe was there for me, and it hit me that whoever made all of this and everything with a purpose could not have made me with no purpose. And if there was a purpose for everything else in life, there was a purpose for me. And I didn't need to know what it was. And I didn't need to plan for it. All I had to do was I committed to do the best I could one day at a time. And the way I determined what I would do is I would do something that nobody else could do or would do. And that's sort of what happened. That's how I went to a conference with my pastor because he was from the north, and we were driving out to the panhandle of Texas, a place called Lake Brownwood. And he said, I don't know how to get along down here. Would you drive with me? So I drove him there, and I was planning to go to San Antonio and party with my roommate from college. But when we got up there at Lake Brownwood, we hadn't seen anybody black since we left Houston. And so he said, you're not going to leave me here with all these white folks by myself, are you? And I said, no, I'll stay a couple of days. And lo and behold, I met, first time I'd ever met white people who said to me privately, if my parents knew I was here, they would disown me. And I said, well, why are you here? And they said, because I think that's what Jesus would have me do. And I had never met white people who were that serious about the gospel. And it made me wake up a little bit. My pastor was leading the Bible study. And so I ended up staying there a week. And at the end of the week, they were looking for volunteers to reach out and evangelism program for young people, getting young people around the country interested in the church again. And they wanted to make it integrated. And I was only one black person there. So I couldn't say no. That was something I could do that nobody else could do. They assigned me to Connecticut. And when I got to Connecticut, the Council of Churches had not arranged for me to have a place for me to stay. So they called up Hartford Theological Seminary and asked if they had an extra room. And they had a guest room that they said I could stay in. And I went out there, and I'd never been on a seminary campus before. And I really liked it. I felt very comfortable. And so I walked into the dean's office. My work was in the afternoon, and I said, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm living here as your guest, and I just like permission to sit in on a few courses. I'm working for the church, and I grew up in Sunday school, and I've read the Bible, but I really don't know anything about the Bible. And he looked at me and he said, well, you're fortunate. We have a scholarship fund here, and it's called the Rockefeller Brothers Fund for the Negro Ministry. And nobody's asked for it in a long time. So if you will take 3 courses, I can give you a scholarship. And that's how it happened.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anthony Oates Jr., and I am with the Jakes Divinity School administrative team, where our vision is to form leaders for innovative ministry in the church and society. We would love for you to consider one of our degree programs at Jakes Divinity School. And for more information on that, please go to www.jakesdivinity.org to peruse through our accredited degree programs. Thank you so much for attending with us tonight. We appreciate you for joining us for Lead Like King.
April, I'm having a great time tonight. You have a good time?
Absolutely, I really
This is
am.
wonderful. We hope you guys are having a great time. Do me a favor, if you're really enjoying what's happening, if you're loving it, if you got your popcorn and your soda by the laptop, do me a favor, pull out your phones and text to give.
Yes.
We want you to sow into this. We want you to sow into what's blessing you so that we
Yeah.
can have more of this. I want more Lead Like
That's
King.
right.
I want more. And thank you so much, Jakes Divinity, for doing
Yeah.
this. We appreciate you. We are moving forward in tonight. We have the final two awards of the evening.
Yes.
This next award is the Economic Empowerment Award presented by, I know I'm gonna mess up her name. Please don't be upset at me. Her name is Nicole Del
Favaro.
Yeah, Nicole, what is it?
Del Favaro.
Del Favaro. We love you so much.
She is the presenter for the Economic Empowerment Award. But you know what I also wanted to mention? Ambassador Andrew Young was amazing.
Oh,
he was
almost
absolutely
forgot.
amazing.
Yes.
And if for no other reason to donate into this Jakes Divinity School, that would be a reason. He dropped nuggets,
He
man.
did.
You can't just get that for
Crazy
free
nuggets.
anywhere. So please follow the instructions at the bottom of the screen, text to give, donate, and it's going to help to empower scholars and theologians that are trying to move forward in
Yes.
what God
The
has
next
for them
generation.
to do. Yes, the next generation.
The next.
That's what it's
Be
about.
like King.
And the final award that will be presented this evening is the Education Empowerment Award that will be presented by Jordan Brown.
Nice.
Alan and Sabrina Pierce are a power couple. Sabrina has soared in sales, merchandising, and marketing. She has the reputation of a keen strategist and wise administrator. Sabrina is a versatile business mogul. She is a veteran, having held marketing and sales leadership roles at Frito-Lay, and before leaving to join Navigator, served as the senior vice president at Albertsons SoCal. Sabrina is passionate about people and identifying, coaching, and developing high-impact teams to achieve business results. A recipient of multiple awards, Sabrina has been named to Top Women in Grocery by Progressive Grocer, the Top 100 Executives Under 50 by Diversity Incorporated, and as Woman in the Industry from Food Industry Sales Club of Los Angeles. Also, Sabrina has received the Humanitarian Award for the Food Industry by the California Conference for Equality and Justice. Alan is also a business mogul. His leadership in sales and marketing has a proven success record. He has achieved multi-million-dollar sales goals and performing effective territory management within diverse industries, including real estate, automotive, and telecommunications. Like Sabrina, Alan is an astute strategist. He is effective at building teams and providing motivation and sales incentives to improve market penetration, expand distribution, and increase sales revenue. Together, Alan and Sabrina are managing partners at Navigator Sales and Marketing. Their company connects grocery retailers with small business owners that sell their own line of packaged foods, household items, and other things. Their company is a food and beverage broker with product representation in over 15,000 stores, including Albertsons, Safeway, Ralph's, Food Lion, Whole Foods, Stater Brothers, Kroger, and more. Blackbusiness.com reports that as the founders of a Black-owned company themselves that fully understand the importance of diversity and inclusion, Alan and Sabrina are working hard to increase the representation of Black, minority, and women entrepreneurs in the food retail industry. Sabrina explains, we connect retailers with brands from this growing network and lead minority relationship consultations to ensure these brands are well supported through each retailer system. With these tailored solutions, we will see an increase in 3 key areas: the presence of exposure of underrepresented entrepreneurs, the number of qualified CPG entrepreneurs, and the successful integration of minority-owned brands into the marketplace. Today, we honor Alan and Sabrina Pierce with the Lead Like King Award for leading in economic empowerment. They emerged from humble beginnings to a place of economic empowerment. Their leadership, vision, and hard work has made an indelible impression in the lives and financial welfare of many who could not otherwise actualize their dreams.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Pierce. This is my husband, Alan Pierce. I have to say we are shocked, humbled, and honored to be here today to receive this award for economic empowerment. One of Martin Luther King's quotes that has always lived with me is that life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And that's how we've always tried to live our lives.
Navigating Lighthouse Foundation is an opportunity for people of color to get into our industry. And a lot of times we don't get the rules of the games, and we don't have an opportunity. Well, we wanted to change that in this opportunity. It's a way for African Americans and people of color to build generational wealth. So thank you guys once again for this award. We are excited about it, and hopefully things keep moving forward in the real world as we work toward doing this for people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Scott Hagan is the president of North Central University in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Dr. Hagan is a quintessential leader and forward-thinking Christian university president with many years of experience as a pastor. A long-standing advocate for racial harmony, Dr. Hagan was deeply troubled by the social unrest surrounding the murder of George Floyd. Ground Zero that captured the globe was only a few blocks from North Central University in Minneapolis. NCU was the site of the city's Minneapolis memorial service in honor of Floyd. Before offering the prayer of comfort at the memorial service, Hagan announced the creation of the George Floyd Memorial Scholarship at North Central University and challenged every university president in the United States of America to establish a George Floyd Memorial Scholarship Fund at their institutions. Since then, more than 40 universities have established a similar scholarship. Hagan asserted that it is time to invest like never before in a new generation of young Black Americans who are poised and ready to take leadership in our nation. According to the university's website, the scholarship provides a way to invest in a new generation of young Black Americans poised and ready to be leaders in our community and our nation. We believe that the George Floyd Memorial Scholarship will enable North Central University to increase our number of Black students who will impact the learning environment in a positive manner. Diversifying our learning environment is key to being a university that looks and acts like heaven. Today, we honor Dr. Scott Hagan at North Central University with the Lead Like King Award for leading in education empowerment. Thank you for challenging all of us to invest more in the future of the community through education.
To the selection committee of Lead Like King and those at JDS, Jakes Divinity School, I just want to humbly accept this award really on behalf of the entire university. This is a prestigious honor. It's humbling, and it's also very, very inspiring. And so on behalf of our entire school, I want to say thank you to those who looked upon the work last summer when it comes to education through the George Floyd Scholarship and saw merit and meaning and value for the future in what happened. I think the gift that Dr. King brought to this world is this. He provided a fierce but biblical methodology for turning anguish into action. Last summer, our city here in Minneapolis was in anguish. It was burning. People were dying not far from the classrooms that we use to train a new generation of leaders to go water this earth. In that moment, we felt like Elisha when the family approached us to host the memorial. When Elisha found out that one of his servants had died and they were selling his sons off into slavery of that prophet, Elisha stepped forward and spoke the foremost, I think, valuable and meaningful words in the Old Testament. He simply said, "How can I help?" And in that spirit of help, last summer, the George Floyd Memorial happened. In that moment, we really believed that that scholarship would turn anguish into action in the spirit of Dr. King. It wasn't born out of a great strategy. It was born in a moment's time with a pastoral concern for the city of Minneapolis. Again, on behalf of our university, we want to say thank you to those at Lead Like King, Jakes Divinity School, and all those participating tonight. May we all live inspired and continue to turn anguish into action in the spirit of Dr. King.
And now, join us for God's Got It All in Control, performed by Pastor Shirley Caesar.
God's got it all in control. He's got it all in control. You know he put that real Just want to tell everybody it's in control. Yes, 2021. Won't you put your life in His hand? Yes. Won't you put your life, put it in His hand? Every road I will walk down, my life is in its only place. Yeah. Come on and put your life in His hand. He holds the stars in the sky. Yeah. He holds the land back from the sea. Yes. You know what else He does? And if He can do all of that, yeah. You know He can. You know He can. Surely He can take good care. Yes, He can. You and me. It's gonna be all right in the morning. Yes. It's gonna be all right in the morning. In the morning. In the morning. He put that reassurance. Wait out. He's not sure. God's got it all in control. Yes, He has. He put that reassurance way down in my soul. God's got it all in
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for Lead Like King Awards and Scholarship Drive. It is an honor to have you join us, and we want to congratulate all of the honorees for your selfless leadership and encourage you to continue in the path that lifts others to the call of God for their life. Also, I would like to thank Attorney Darrell and Helen Dowdell at Dowdell and Associates in Columbus, Georgia, for your generous gift to scholarships at Jakes Divinity School. Your $10,000 gift is going to make all the difference in the world. I want to invite each of you to consider any gift that you may have for the scholarships at Jakes Divinity School, and also to advance the mission of the Urban Renewal Center to awaken society to its promised wholeness. Tonight is a special night. You know, Mark Twain said, there are 2 days in our lives that are crucial: the day we were born and the day we found out why. Now, I don't know if Mark Twain ever found out why he was born, but tonight we're celebrating one who did. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. found his purpose. He hailed from Atlanta, Georgia, matriculated through Morehouse College, where he gained his Bachelor of Arts degree and his theology degree from Crozer Theological Seminary, and his PhD from my alma mater, Boston University, in theology. He took all that he had attained back to Atlanta, Georgia, to be the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, and he took his faith to the streets. He fought for civil rights of those who did not have it, voting rights, desegregation of schools, and he even died while he was in Memphis, Tennessee, fighting for the rights of those sanitation workers who did not have equal pay for equal work. Tonight, we celebrate our quintessential leader, who has taught us that even if life crushes us, our instincts could cause us to revive and to soar to our destiny. Bishop T.D. Jakes has joined us tonight to say words of empowerment. Let us hear what the Bishop, the Chancellor of Jakes Divinity School, has to say.
First, let me begin my presentation by extending commendations and appreciation to Dr. Antipas Harris for the tremendous job that he's doing as president of Jakes Divinity School, to the board that surrounds him, and to all of the students who have taken the rich opportunity that has been extended to them to participate in the Jakes Divinity School and the vision thereof. Over the next few minutes, I want to clarify and bring reference to that vision in a way that might be helpful to many of you that may not be as familiar as we are with the objectives, the goals, and the commission that has been extended to the development of Jakes Divinity School. I could think of no better way to start than to look at Genesis 49, I believe it is verse 22. And it reads, Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a wall, whose branches run over the wall. In that brief text, it discusses with us the substratum of what Jakes Divinity School was all about, the premise existing upon the fact that Joseph is a bow whose branches reach over the wall, pointing to the fact that he extends beyond where he is planted. With that thought in mind, and we develop ministers and leaders for the 21st century, the duality of purpose requires a mandate that we continue to focus on developing leaders that are adept, that are equipped, that can in fact lead like King, that they can take the model that Dr. Martin Luther King used and extend it for the development of our community, is a unique but an imperative assignment that is backed up by empirical data throughout the history of the African American community. From Frederick Douglass to Dr. Martin Luther King, most of our great leaders have come out of the pulpit, but they didn't stay there. They were planted like Joseph, but their branches reached over the wall and touched the nation and touched the world and touched the underserved and the underprivileged in a powerful and an impacting way, of which I am challenging all of our students to emulate going forward. Here lies a principle that many outside of our community are just now becoming aware of, but it is important for the times that we're living in today. Why do you say it's important? I'm glad you asked. There is a great deficit in our country and in our world today for great leadership. We don't suffer for the lack of titles or the lack of degrees. We don't suffer for the lack of penthouse suites or special parking places. But men and women who will put their hand to the plow and continue to work and to develop and to follow both their instincts and their intellect in developing a path forward that impacts people outside of their circle of influence is very, very important to our society. And when they are rooted and grounded in faith and come from a pulpit perspective, we have a better sense of a moral compass, a responsibility, an obligation, a call, as it were, a mandate for selfless living, to live beyond one's own ambitions, but to find a way that we can create platforms through which we can have great influence. Might I remind you that the early colored schools started in the church? Might I remind you that the impetus for the civil rights movement started through faith leaders, impacted political leaders, changed society, gave a clarion call that reached not only around the country, but around the world, impacting and echoing all the way to South Africa and the apartheid. It all started from the pulpit. And we're not being used for our highest and best use when we are relegated to stay incarcerated behind the wall of religion and not allowing our branches to explore beyond them. Because we gather together more on a weekly basis, a mass of people of color than any other organization in the country. That influence has been impacted by social media and technology and given us a voice that I feel we have a mandate with that voice to inspire, as Dr. King inspired, people to go the extra mile, to work together, to have cohesive plans and agendas, to work together for education, for better schooling, for a focus toward science, technology, energy, and math. We can inspire that even though we are not that. That is the way I have lived my life. It is the way that I have developed our organization. It is the way that we have been successful in touching people all the way from people who have been incarcerated, who are returning citizens, to help them find a more meaningful way of living out their lives, right to providing opportunities for students who would not normally have the resources to go back to school. And that's what we're interested in today, is creating a fund, as it were, so that we can be a resource center to provide grants for students who have the academic acumen to be successful in school, but lack the resources and the direction to know where they need to put their emphasis and to have the resources to follow up on their vision and to accomplish, in fact, their dream. Why now? We need leadership now more than we have ever needed it before. We need direction now more than we have ever needed it before. Our cities are laying in ruin. There is a crisis coming up out of the streets of America. Our unity has become disheveled in this country. We have been ravished by a pandemic that has been a terminal impact not only upon the lives of 375,000 people, and those numbers growing daily, but it has also been the assailant that has attacked small businesses, killed out entrepreneurship, challenged people who were once employed, and we are being forced to have to be innovative in a way that we have never had to be innovative before. When you look at the times in which we live in today, someone has to use their platform to give direction, to give inspiration, to give correction, not only as a voice of conscience to those in power, but to invade the hallowed walls of government, to invade the hallowed walls of science and technology, to be an assistant and come alongside as a paraclete to assist the inequities that exist in our society, whether it be food deserts or whether it be digital divides or whether there be a lack of representation in the boardrooms of our corporations around the country. Jakes Divinity School is designed to challenge those who feel called to ministry but not limited to it, who have a sense of a moral compass that guides them to leave the world better than they found it. And so we are busy about training and using the model that we have done to suggest possible ways in which we can greater impact our society, bring about change, reproduce after our own kind, and create the kind of legacy that causes our children, our grandchildren, and great-grandchildren to have a better chance at upward mobility. To that end, we are fully prepared to partner with whatever organizations, whether it leads to corporations like AT&T, or whether it leads to standing alongside to assist corporations like Walmart, and to be a voice of reason in times of crisis with leadership in our government, having advised the last three presidents, except the one that we have currently. I've had a wide repertoire of dealing both with Democrats and Republicans and being able to help facilitate some of the changes that we have enjoyed in this country. So at this season in my life and at this time, Jakes Divinity School makes perfect sense to me because it creates an opportunity to be a good steward of the platform that we have been given, to be a good steward of the millions and millions of people who embrace us through technology, and to influence the direction of this country by inspiring people to live out their best lives. Dr. King, in his last message to us, posed a question, where do we go from here? It was his plan, as I sat and talked with Mrs. Coretta Scott King numerous times. She said the final frontier for Dr. King's legacy was economic equity. And we are stalled right there. The disparities that exist between the households of Black Americans and white Americans is absolutely staggering. The disparities that exist in job opportunities and pay inequities is also staggering. The pay inequities extends beyond colors of Black and brown right down to gender, where women can work the same job and not get the same pay. All of these are challenges that we have to take on because these are the resource centers where children are born, where families are incubated, where the future is determined. And providing our children the ability to live in communities that do not have food deserts has fallen into the lap and the plate of clergy around the country. Now, it is one thing to speak truth to power, and there are many that do that. But I would rather speak change to society than truth to power who may not be listening. And so it has afforded us a great opportunity to facilitate the change that we want, rather than to scream at the darkness, to light a candle, to inspire people to live out their best lives, and to impart to them the resources and expose them to the models that makes the unachievable achievable, the impossible now possible. To break through the stagnation and the isolation that comes when you live in a community that is distracted by the disruption of the times and focus more on survival than success. All of that is what we train, it's what we teach, it's what we explore, it's what we challenge our students to take on their thought process in evolving not only into being great preachers, but being great leaders, great innovators, great thinkers, building the repertoire of relationships that are necessary to have the kind of impact that creates a conduit where your branch reaches over the wall. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was planted in the pulpits of America, preaching the gospel in the Baptist churches around this country, Atlanta in particular, but extending beyond that, his bow, his branches reached over the wall and began to touch every sphere of our society. As we commemorate and think about his legacy, his impact, his influence, his integrity, his charisma, his intellectualism, let us do it not only from a historical perspective, where we simply memorialize that we cannot duplicate, but rather than let us use it then to become a model for us, whereby we will be able to achieve in this contemporary challenge, this pervasive time in which we live right now, in the midst of such acrimony and dissension and discord. The voice of reason has to rise up in America like never before. Why not from the pulpit? Why not from the leadership? Why not the cry for social justice coming from the platform and the mouths of preachers who are able to impact the criminal justice system and many other areas that desperately need our touch? We are the people who bury the dead, who comfort the families who have not been able to touch their loved ones who have been ravaged by COVID-19. We are the people that the politicians visit whenever they get ready to go into office. We can hold them accountable. We can be involved in the process. We can be engaged in the community. We are the ones that are often commissioned to help feed the hungry and clothe the naked, and to do the practical philanthropic work that is necessary to change the world. Let's be intentional about it. Let's teach it. Let's train it. Let's develop it. Let's discover best practices. And I want to challenge those of you that are listening at me today to help facilitate that, because there are many young people who have the passion, who have the desire, who have the calling, who recognize the call, even as Dr. King did, but lack the resources to be able to access adequate education to help them facilitate their dream. Whatever level you sponsor, give, or sow into, it will help on any level to make it possible for those dreams to become a reality. When Dr. King opened his mouth and parted his lips and with a deep gust of wind said, "I have a dream." He is not the only one who has a dream. Those little boys and girls who are trapped in the ghettos of America also have a dream. But the Bible said, "Hope deferred maketh the heart sick." And because the hope has been deferred, the heart of Black America has become ill with hopelessness, despair, drive-by shootings, a robbery and gangs, and all of the things that are deterrents to us living our best lives. If there's going to be a change, we don't need to send in military police. We need to send in hope and creativity and ideas and possibility whereby we can achieve a better standard of living. We need to break up this monopoly we have on poverty. We need to shatter it into pieces. We need to break it up with opportunities that lend themselves to the creation of jobs, of home ownership, of better living, of shattering food deserts, of irrigating those deserts with chances for us to be healthy, to be strong enough, to be mentally endowed with all the graces that are necessary to have the greatest impact. So we take on this challenge and we're excited about it, but we need you to partner with us. We need you to stand with us. We need you to come into agreement with us on every level. Today, we're going to honor some distinguished individuals who have been trailblazers, who have gone beyond the pale, who have accomplished great things. But we don't want to honor them in the vacuum of not reproducing them in the lives of our children and our children's children. Why not from the pulpit? Jesus changed the world from a pulpit. Dr. King changed the world from a pulpit. Frederick Douglass changed the world from a pulpit. I suggest to you, my brothers and sisters, it may be the only viable platform that amasses the amount of people on a regular basis that is necessary to be an impetus for change and for good. Dream with me, if you will, for a moment, as Dr. King dreamed, that we may not be able to resuscitate him individually, but we can reproduce his spirit in the lives of our children and our grandchildren as we bring within their reach the possibility that they could be anybody, that they could be in the hallowed walls of Congress, that they could be the president of the United States, illustrated by President Barack Obama, that they could go where none have gone before, that they could be the vice president in spite of being a woman, as Vice President Kamala Harris has demonstrated to our community. Now is the time, while the iron is hot, while the country is talking, while we are still being riveted after the terrible, atrocious murder of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. The names go on and on of people who have brought to the stage of America a conversation that we have not wanted to have. As corporations have turned their head to see what they could do to bring about change, now is the time. If not now, when? If not us, then who? We must, with great urgency, I dare would borrow the phrase, the fierce urgency of now, pursue the task that is set before us. Let it not be said that when the door finally opened, we were distracted by our own personal ills and adversities. Let it not be said that when the door finally pushed open, we did not have the wherewithal to walk through the door. Let it not be said that when the world turned its head to see and to recognize that Black lives do matter, that we can contribute, that we can be epidemiologists, that we can be scientists, that we can be astronomers, that we can be so many things that we are so underrepresented in, that when the door finally opens, I want you to be the usher at that door that helps our young people to walk through that door. Now, in a moment of transparency, let me share with you. At this age and stage in my life, I don't need to take on anything else. I don't need to climb another mountain. I don't need something else to do. But I could not look the other way and ignore the deficit that exists. I could not look the other way and ignore the fact that I'll go into boardroom after boardroom where I do not see people who look like me. And I have been challenging CEOs and corporate leaders around the country to open the door wider, to become involved in being a part of the solution. And having gotten their attention, I need you to shoulder up on your end, to do whatever you can do, to become a student, to enroll, to take classes, or to make it possible for other students. Any size amount at all will help it, will help someone, will help them to have a dream, will help them to realize their dream, will help America to live up to its creed. Our creed is beautiful, but we have failed and fallen short of our highest ideals. The time is now to bring about that right standing, that equality, that equity, that balance that is needed, where we all stand on a level playing floor and we all respond to the same rules and we all have access to equal opportunity. That is what leading like King is all about. And so as the chancellor and the founder of Jakes Divinity School, it affords me a great pleasure and a great honor to share with you the vision that we have, to share with you the fact that we are already underway, that we are fueled and accredited and have found the resources that are necessary to already begin to produce students that are producing change. I want to go further. We need to go further. I can't do it without you. Perhaps you can't do it without me, but together we can get it done. Thank you for exploring and considering and investigating Jakes Divinity School and all of the many courses and classes and opportunities that it affords you. And dig real deep in your heart. Maybe you're not the one that's going to go back to school. Maybe that season in your life is past. But in some small way, if you can be the wind beneath the wings of our students, we have more students who want to be a part of the school who simply lack the resources to get a running start. If each one helps one, we will cross the finish line and we will cross it in time. If each one helps one, we will cause many other branches to reach over the walls. There are many walls around us, far too many walls, but it is time for us to be like Joseph. Joseph is a branch whose bow reached over the wall. Will you increase that reach for someone today? At the very minimum, pray for Jakes Divinity School, because we have taken on a task too big for us, and we feel a bit like David fighting Goliath. But with your help and the smooth stones you provide, the bigger they come, the harder they'll fall. I thank you for this opportunity. I am greatly appreciative of the opportunities that the work of a country preacher, a Southern preacher, created and shook up the 60s. If there were no Dr. Martin Luther King, there would have never been a T.D. Jakes. Think about the next generation and who is going to be that voice that creates the opportunities for them. Where do we go from here? I say let's go forward. And if you agree with that, get on board. Lend a hand. Say a prayer. Lift somebody up. Because the time for change is right now. Democrats and Republicans are all looking at the power of the 40 million African-American, Black Americans that live here in the United States. It has been exhibited in the polls. It has been exhibited in the streets. Now let it be exhibited in the universities and the colleges and the corporate boards and the community leadership that is necessary for us to really wear the full vesture of who we were created to be. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a good one.
Wow, that was an amazing evening.
This was great. This was awesome. This was new.
Yes.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you all hung out with us this entire evening. And what a way to close it out with Bishop T.D. Jakes.
It gets no better.
It gets no better. No better. And we may be a little biased, but I don't think we are, because I think the world agrees that
he's in the spirit. He's always in the spirit. We need it. We love it. Thank you.
We absolutely love
Jakes
having
Divinity
you all
School,
with us.
everyone.
Yeah. So listen, but before we close out, if you're still interested in making a huge impact in the lives of future scholars, there's still time to donate. So please text JDS LLK to 28950. And remember that all proceeds will go toward the scholarship fund at Jakes Divinity School, as well as outreach opportunities at the Urban Renewal Center.
Sow into what's been given to you.
Yeah.
You always want to sow into what's feeding back to you.
That's
I'm
right.
definitely going to sow.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to sow.
Because I got my phone out. You don't have your phone out. So I don't know if you really.
My phone is
if
right
you're really
here.
sowing.
Listen.
Thank y'all for being with us.
Yeah, and we want to sow into the future. The youth of tomorrow, scholars and theologians that want to help pour into the community as we move forward. And that's what Jakes Divinity School is going to do. So we're going to go to our dean right now. He's going to give us our benediction to close out the evening. But after the benediction, don't go anywhere. We have a special treat for you right after we close it out. Yes, we do.
All right, don't go nowhere. Don't you go nowhere.
Scripture teaches that a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pitchers of silver. I think you would agree with me tonight that the words that our bishop, the chancellor at Jakes Divinity School, has shared with us has not only inspired us, but also challenged us to rise to the call of God for our lives. Let us use all of our gifts and talents to awaken society to its promised wholeness. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.
I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change will come. Oh yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I ain't afraid to die. No, no, no. I don't know about you, but I know what's beyond the sky. It's been a somebody know what I'm talking about, a long time coming, but I know a change will come. I know. Let me say it. I go to the movies and I go downtown. Somebody tell me, no, boy, what you doing here? You can't hang around. It's been a you ought to just wave your hand, somebody. A long time coming. I know a change will come. Oh yeah. Said I go to my brother. I say, brother, come on now, help me please. Then my old brother, yeah, said they wind up knocking me on my knee. There was time that I thought I could last for long. No. But I think I'm able. Somebody know I want to tell you tonight we can carry on. It's been a long, I said a long time coming. I said a long time coming. But I know. I go to my brother. And I say, brother, come on. I said, won't you help me, please? I said, my brother. I said, he wound up knocking me on my knee. There were times that I thought I couldn't last for long. Wait a minute. But I think of Mabel, yeah. I feel like carrying on. Somebody been going through something, but I want to let you know. A long time coming, but you can't believe that a change is gonna come. I said a change is gonna come. So help us all the way, yeah. Change. I know that change is gonna come, yeah. It feels like it's been a long time, but I know I'm gonna keep the faith. I'm gonna keep on moving on. Oh, change. Oh, na. A change is gonna come. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change will come. Yeah, somebody say yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed evening.
A change will come, yeah.